In the following demo, I will show you how we modify the workscope in the MRO interim order structure when we have a workscope creep. So in the example I have here, we have a CFM 56-5B. The very top level disassembly you can see is green. This denotes that we have completely reported all operations and received the engine itself. The next level down you see is line number 3. This disassembly here has the following connected operations. So here are the 4 different disassembly tasks that we have connected to this particular submodule, and it's a circle which is half yellow. This denotes that we've completely reserved the assembly, but we haven't reported any operations yet. As you can see, they're all still open, and we haven't received the module either. So in this particular case, the next level down we have is this 72001-01001. Initially, we included 1 submodule and 4 components, as you see here. The fact that it's just a circle without any color in it whatsoever means that we haven't actually done anything with it yet. We will have, in some instances, disassembly operations. You can see this one's completely reported because there aren't any operations connected, and the same for this one as well. But in this particular example, we're going to say that this module here in a defined workscope screen was actually defined as a module minimum workscope, which is why we've only got a handful of dispositions. But I'm now going to say that we've got some inspection findings, and we're going to change the workscope. We've got 2 options. We can either add individual components, or if it's a complete workscope change, we can modify it from a minimum workscope to a full overhaul, which will then include lots more dispositions further down. So if I go to the defined workscope screen for the correct work order, this particular one is 525. You see here, this is the corresponding location. If I click on it, you can see that the selected maintenance level at the moment is the minimum maintenance level. If I just expand this down and click on components included, it's basically including just 3 major modules. The components that are not included, if we wanted to, we can select individual components and we can click include to add them to the workscope. So if I just do that now, and then I click on the components included tab, we now see that the additional 3 that I've just added appear here. If we decide that we actually don't just want to include the 3, but we want to include a full suite of components with for a different workscope level, we can exclude them from the workscope as well, and we can just put them back where they came from. In this particular instance, I'm going to change the maintenance level from the minimum to overhaul. So I just click here and I say set maintenance level. I put in a reason and I'll just say workscope creep. Due to inspection findings, and I click OK. And we now see that the maintenance level overhaul now displays a yes to say this is the selected maintenance level. If I go to as you see at the moment, before I go to the top, you'll see that none of these are currently included, which is why there's a clear diamond. The ones with the blue diamond are included in the workscope from the previous release. So if I go to the top here, you see that there are some changes pending. And now I need to release the workscope. So I'll just say, okay, yes, I want to release the workscope. This runs as a background job, so it takes just a couple of seconds. You see at the bottom here, it says work scope for work order 525 is now released with interim header 365. So that's great. If I now go back to the original MRO interim order structure that we were looking at, and I refresh, you'll see before I refresh, as I said before, you'll see that we have just a handful of dispositions here and one extra disassembly. And now if I refresh, you'll see that all these components, which are listed here for this particular work scope, will now be included in this MRO interim order structure here. And at this stage, we haven't released the work scope, so none of them have a shop order yet, but the actual physical location for the component has been included. So the next thing I'll do, I'll come here, which is the next highest assembly, and I'll say release. So again, this runs as a background job. It takes 4 or 5 seconds to go through. We can view our background jobs here. It shows that it's posted. It's doing a cleanup and it's doing some time event handling. So the status ready tells me that it's been completed. If I go back here and I refresh, now the components are in the work scope. They all now have a shop order number, and we're in a position where we can disassemble the module further. So for this particular one here, let me just release the structure. Again, this will run as a background job. This is just to release the interim order. It's executing the interim order release. Some of the tasks have been completed already. Still 3 running. Okay, so everything's been completed and it's calculated the new shop order cost based on the new work scope. And I'm at the position now where the next highest assembly, which is the amber color, I can do an automatic disassembly on this to say that, yes, we've now completed all of these tasks, and I'm going to automatically disassemble that level. I pick my receipt location in the shop. I don't want to include any sub-levels at this stage, just in case we have a further work scope creep on another disassembly later on. We can either run this in the background or we can run it in the foreground. So I'll just turn off run in the background and I'll click OK. So there's several things running in the background here against these different disassemblies. So it's just going to take a little bit of time. So now we see that the disassembly itself, the initial one that we looked at, has now turned green, and the lower level disassemblies and dispositions are half yellow. So we can now proceed with the disposition on these. And again, the same for this. If we're happy with the workscope on this particular one, we can follow the same process. We can disassemble it, do the automatic disassembly as I did earlier. If we choose to, we can include the submodules, and then all of the disassemblies themselves, these MRO disassemblies, these will all turn green. As you see, they're all half yellow at the moment, but anything that's half yellow we can work on. So it just means that this particular one here, these are a clear circle. So we just need to do the actual automatic disassembly at this level as well, and then we can work on those two. And that's the end of the updating the workscope due to a workscope creep.